Welcome to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I'm Kyra Mitchell Lewis, and thank you for joining. Hope everyone is doing well, and I hope you're having a great week. Today, I'll be joined by Christian holistic wellness influencer, speaker, and best-selling author Cassandra Hill, who helps professional women feel at home in their bodies again. Cassandra will join me in a few minutes to talk about the role that holistic wellness plays in living a balanced life. So stay tuned. I'll be right back with Cassandra. Welcome back, everyone, and welcome, Cassandra, to the Glow Up Girl podcast.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad to have you here. And let's dive into our discussion. So why don't you start by telling everyone out there listening or watching who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Cassandra Hill, and I'm a Christian holistic wellness influencer. And basically what I do, I work with women, primarily women of color, and I demolish patterns of self-neglect and lack of love that we have for ourselves.
Awesome. I love that. Well, before we start to talk about how you help others, let's talk about how you got into the health and wellness space.
Oh, wow. For me, it was an incredible journey. And I'll start it with this preface: there's always a purpose for your pain. And so my background, I worked corporate America for about a decade as a gerontologist. But basically, I get asked, what in the world is gerontology? and that's just a long way of saying I specialized in the study of aging. So I worked with a lot of older adults in improving their quality of life for as long as they're here on this earth. And in working in corporate America, like a lot of women of color, you're tired, you have to work 10 times as hard. And I did that. I worked the real long hours, got the awards, got, I guess the kudos we all expect from putting in all that hard work and effort. But here's the thing. One thing that I didn't sign up for is for my body to shut down. So after 10 years, my body shut down completely. And I was diagnosed with systemic lupus. And when I first got that diagnosis, with my background, like I said, I'm a gerontologist, so all I know is traditional healthcare. So I started doing chemo treatment and other treatments that my doctor recommended, and I didn't get any better. I don't know how many of you out there who's ever done chemo, or if you hadn't, you probably had a loved one who's done chemo, whether it's through drugs or the actual going into a facility and getting the chemo. But I was getting worse and worse and worse, and I thought there had to be something different I could do. And so I went back to college just studying health and wellness. I'll be quite honest, I was looking for relief for myself. I thought, well, it got to be something different I can do. There's nowhere to go but up. Can't go any further down. And after being in college a few months, wow, I was in remission. I developed a regimen that put me in remission. I was shocked. I didn't even complete. I knew I felt better, but I didn't realize I was in remission until I went to the doctor to do my treatment there at the facility, and all my lab work came back normal. That was in 2016. So that's what started this journey for me to health and wellness.
Wow. That is, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Because I think, like you said, there is purpose. You found purpose in the pain that you were personally going through in your own journey. Now, when you found yourself in remission, where did you go from there? Were you immediately like, I want to help others? Because I do understand that world of, being in corporate America and just like working yourself to the very end, the 7 a.m. to the 7 or later at night, and just the weekends and all that stuff. And so, and women, not taking the time that we need for ourselves, because it's often that you feel guilty, like, oh, well, if I do this thing, I really should be doing this, even though you've already worked a bazillion hours, or, so did you just immediately, tie it back to everything that you have been going through, or were you seeing it within like your own network and community of friends, or, that they were sort of experiencing the same thing?
For me, initially, I was in a lot of support groups for people with lupus and other autoimmune conditions. And so initially, I thought my calling was to serve that demographic. And honestly, I didn't have the light bulb moment. I was like, how can I get ahead of this? Be proactive to get us in a place to where we don't have to experience dis-ease. And that light bulb moment happened in 2020.
Okay.
I think just having that time to be still. I mean, just complete stillness, because guess what? There was nothing to do but be at home. Exactly. And I thought, okay, Cassandra, not that I don't empower those who live with autoimmune condition like lupus or other autoimmune conditions to reverse their health. Really in 2020 is where I shifted more. And I thought about it. I was like, even in being an entrepreneur, I see people who are entrepreneurs and, they think, oh, I want this flexibility. I want this freedom. But they repeat that same pattern that they did in corporate. And so that's what caused the shift for me. So yes, I think part of it was my lived experience, seeing, I'm sure you can relate. It's like you work ridiculous amount of hours. I know in corporate, okay, you might be on the job at least 10 hours. Then leave that job with a briefcase and things to do at home. For work, on top of having children, on top of maybe being a caregiver for parents or just grandparents, just loved ones in general. And it's like, when do you have time for yourself? And so I think 2020 honed it in for me. And although we never wished COVID and the devastating effects, but even with COVID, it affected the world at large. However, Black women and women of color suffered the most because we had all these pre-existing conditions going on. So I think that factored into it as well.
Yeah, and I think also what you said as far as, in 2020 and being able to stop and just slow down and basically listen to your body, listen all around you to figure out, how to do things differently. Because if nothing else, it was to me, in my opinion, and I always say it was a clear sign to me that like we were doing something wrong. And we needed to stop. And, and I, in 2019, myself had just started like this journey of in therapy and just sort of really trying to build boundaries, because I was just always trying to help everybody and do everything. And I often say that I felt like that like where you throw all the balls in the air and that little thing, you're just going back and trying to catch all of them. And that's like how I felt, because I would never say no to, like, if my boss asked me to do something, I was like, oh yeah, I can do it. I can help. Or if my friends, oh, can we go such and such, so you were all like, I was always just doing something. And then my therapist was like, well, you just don't have boundaries. And she was like, you need to say no, you need to think about yourself. And so, I had, started into that journey at the end of probably like mid-year 2019. But then as we got to 2020 and we came home to work, then life just like opened up all these possibilities of like, wow, I mean, I've been going to work at 7:00 in the morning and staying in the office until 7:30 at night, and then coming home and having, limited time with my husband and my puppy, and, but just sort of, and then trying to do like side business, trying to be an entrepreneur at night, and then just doing the same cycle like over and over and over. And so like having 20, by the time, by the time we got to the end of 2020, I was like, I don't want to go back to that life in 2019. I don't want to be sitting at somebody, like I want flexibility. I want to be able to, take care of myself. Like, now it's like, I can get up in the morning, I still get up early because I get up early. But I'm able to like work out. I'm able to walk my dog in the morning. I'm able to like just have peace and time with God and read my devotionals and journal and all of that, and start my day with a truly grateful heart and a peaceful mindset, and go through that day, and that's every day now. And so like a lot of the things that you feel, or, like I felt were important to me prior to COVID, a lot of those things now I'm like, I tell people all the time, I'm like, well, I mean, I go if I want to go somewhere, but like, it's not like before where it's like every weekend, we were going out. Like it's just like, I mean, I'm good. Like, I've learned to like enjoy the space that is mine and enjoy just being like, my peace of mind is inside of these walls in my house. So, and I think like that's a form of self-care that like I would have never given to myself or taken if COVID had not happened.
Yeah, a lot of major lessons learned. I just developed, matter of fact, it just launched last week, developed a digital course around self-care for entrepreneurs, because a lot of us, especially minority women, we come out of corporate and we want that flexibility and freedom. However, if we do not disassociate from those patterns that we've picked up in working in corporate, we can bring those same patterns to our business, to where we don't enjoy that flexibility and freedom, to where when you wake up, it's just hit the ground running. As you mentioned, now you have time for the devotional, for walking, your puppy, for doing the things that you enjoy doing. And that's what self-care is all about. Sometimes it's when we look at self-care, my self-care is go and get a mani-pedi. I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking that. However, self-care is the things you do on a consistent, I say daily. If you're not doing self-care daily, at least start doing it weekly. But it's those things you do on a continual, ongoing basis to replenish yourself. It's no different than your vehicle. Although we hate going to the gas station now, guess what? We go, and we go on a regular basis to keep that vehicle full. Your body's no different.
That's true, right? You have to, I think you make an interesting point there, that a lot of times we'll take care of everything else around us, but not give ourselves that same care of like refilling our cups and, giving ourselves the things like you mentioned, somebody might look at it saying, oh, well, I go get a mani pedi, I get a massage. And, they may say that is like self-care, but I mean, and it is a form of it, but, there are some other things that sort of help to like refuel your spirit, to help with your mindset. And those are often, like, for me, those are just quiet moments. That is, like Sunday church, like listening to like my pastor's word, like that is like what fills me up to get ready to like go another week. To, it's like, because I'm like, if you don't get, like, I know personally, like if I don't get that, and then like the week is a little wonky and sometimes can be a little crazy, but not having like that sort of frame, that base at the start of the week to like just, okay, I've got this message. And that's, that's sort of how I look at every day with like reading my devotionals. It's like, I'm setting myself up, for the day that I want. And when you don't have time to do those things, like me personally, I feel like the day just goes, it seems crazy.
Yeah.
And it didn't have to be, crazy if I make the time to do the things that are important and things that, pour back into me every day.
Yes. It is daily I guess great minds think alike, because I'm with you. My quiet time with God, either with a devotional or my prayer journal, but something that fills your cup, because things will happen. We live in a world where so much is happening just in our world, not even mentioning just in your life, but in the world.
Yeah.
Is mass shootings, just every time you turn around. We live in a society, if we're not careful, we do not realize the trauma that's going on and its impact on our mental well-being. But there should be some type of activities that you're doing on a continual, ongoing. Like I said, I recommend doing it every day. To refuel yourself. And if you don't have those type of activities, or if you aren't sure how to get started, let's talk. Let's figure out what works for you.
And that, that is also a very true statement, with everything happening, like you mentioned, lately it's, gosh, mass shootings seems like every day, every week. And, and then you put on top of that, the fact that, COVID is still there. COVID is still pretty much alive. And even if people, are trying to push for and live life, which, yes, you have to find a way to still, exist, but it's still there. And so, those are the weights of, the things that are carried, yes, then there's inflation. There are just so many things that, are weighing on people. And yes, I'm right there with you. I have a bi-weekly therapy session, which is self-care for me, because it allows for me to talk about, how I feel about the things that are going on in the world, because, that has been weighing down on me. And just, as a Christian, praying, about it. And then but wanting to have an outlet to talk about, how it feels and how I feel about it. And so, and I think that's important, especially in, minority communities, because it's not talking to someone, whether it is, having a coach, having a therapist. Those are not things that, a lot of people in our communities are taught as a young person, that, oh yeah, it's okay to, get someone to help you. It's usually, and especially when we are Christian, sometimes it is that, well, you can't be telling your business to other people.
Here's the thing though, And this is what I realized in doing what I do in the health and wellness as a Christian, because, I've been asked why I do what I do, because everything I do is based organic, vegan, process.
Mm-hmm.
God, when he created this world, he said everything was good, you know. And if his word says he's given us all things, not some things, not most things, but all things that pertain to life and godliness. So it must mean that even with being a Christian, that there's going to be some things tied to just life in general, to where there's going to be resources outside of your preacher or just whoever you look to as a spiritual leader.
Mm-hmm.
And if our goal is to whatever assignment he's given us, if it's our goal to complete it, the only way we can complete it is if we're whole.
Mm-hmm.
So doesn't it make sense that God wants us to be whole? I think sometimes as a Christian, we get so caught up into that we don't realize right now today we're here on this earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And you have to talk, because I just remember that, when I was many years ago, when I was getting married, and my in-laws, like my mother-in-law said that when I was like, oh yeah, we have to go to premarital counseling. It's just like, what do you have to do that for? You don't need to let everybody know your business. And I was like, I don't look at it like that. It is spiritual advisement. And I said, and if your child wants to marry me, he's gonna go. I said, because it's important. I said, it's important for us to be able to establish, if nothing else, like healthy channels of communication, and to be able to like openly talk about things that happen. Because if not, then we're going to end up on the other side looking crazy, and and it may not work out. So that's it. So at that moment I was like, okay, and I get it, like it was a generational, like also different in how where they were and where we were. And so, but I was like, I'm really glad though that during this time that I see a lot of commercials, I hear a lot of advertisements on podcasts about mental wellness, and people actually knowing that it's okay to it's okay to talk to someone. It's okay to get a coach. It's okay to get a therapist. It's okay to help to find somebody that can help you get to the next step or to fulfill your goals. And I think that especially in minorities, communities of color, a lot of times, it's that we don't want to, reach out to get somebody, oh, I don't want to get somebody to help me, or da 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 da. And I was like, nope, I got a coach and a therapist. And they serve very different purposes in my life. But I wouldn't, over the last 2 years, like I would not be where I am at this point if I had not had those relationships. And when I was picking them, they felt like the people that God put in my path for me to meet and for me to move forward with, and for me to learn from them, for them to learn from me. So it's like a two-way exchange.
Yeah, it is. I share this not to brag, but to show the power of growth. At the beginning of May, that week, that first week in May, God blessed me within days, just days apart. Goldman Sachs, I don't know how many of you out there are familiar with Goldman Sachs, but they're a huge financial institution, probably one of the top 500 in the country. they have a program called 1 Million Black Women Black in Business. It's an inaugural program they just started. My company was accepted into that.
Awesome. Congratulations.
100, thank you. 150 Black women, we make up the cohort, thousands of applications. So that happened. And then literally the very next day, the first book I ever wrote, it's a devotional, He Restoreth My Soul, Triumph Through Adversity, won Book Excellence Award, spirituality category. Those things would not have happened if I hadn't grown. And part of my growth, having coaches, changed the game for me. I had a business coach during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Not only did I have a business coach, but I had someone to spur me along in my emotional, mental well-being as well. Having those things put me in a position to where I can empower more women. But your growth, you cannot do it on your own. Exactly. No one, I don't care who you are. I don't care what level you reach. You know, you might be thinking, oh, wow, Cassandra, that's great. Look at what you're doing. But guess what? I have support. I could not do this on my own. It takes, God is definitely the center, but it's going to take people here on this earth, because here's the thing about it, especially for us Christians out there, when God made creation, Adam was here by himself. Eve was created. Why? Because God said it wasn't good for a man to be alone. He needed a helpmate. And Eve was created. So nothing's changed. All these thousands of years later, nothing's changed. We all need help.
Awesome. I love that. Yes. Well, first off, congratulations to you on both of those accomplishments. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, speaking of, getting help and getting assistance on your journeys, why don't you tell us about the different types of programs and how people can reach you and connect and work with you?
Sure. The easiest way to learn more about my services and products is go to my link tree. And my link tree is linktr.ee/Healer Cassandra. There you'll learn all about my services, products, but just to overview, as I mentioned earlier, I have begun offering digital courses. The great thing about the digital courses, when you enroll, you have access for as long as that platform is up and going, and I'm guessing it'll be a lifetime. So Padia manages that for me. I develop the content. So I have the digital courses. Then for those who want to work with me one-on-one in a wellness session, I do offer coaching programs. I have 2 different coaching programs: Restore the Soul, which is a 1-hour session where we delve into your physical, emotional, and spiritual health. You do receive a customized plan with that, and 2 follow-up sessions. And then for those who need something more intensive, I do have a wellness intensive that lasts 60 days. And that is for the person who is ready for transformation, to become a different person, because you literally do. And if you're ready to have some accountability, because guess what? The things that you need in becoming your best self, physically, emotionally, spiritually, I am going to hold you accountable to having that transformation. So if you need some accountability, the intensive would be more of a fit for you. The courses right now, what I have available, self-care boot camp for entrepreneurs. I recommend that whatever stage you're in your business, that's needed. Because here's the thing, if you do not take care of yourself in your business, if you do not have a plan in place where self-care is a radical experience for you, your business will fail. Just bottom line. So the self-care boot camp shows you how to take care of yourself and still have a thriving business. I also do have the Mindset Reset course that's available as well. As we mentioned earlier, my health and wellness changed when I decided I was tired of being sick. And so things start happening. So if you're not happy where you want to be right now in life, whatever it is, and you want to change your thought patterns, the Mindset Reset course would be for you. But you'll see all that information there on my link tree, link tr.ee/healer Cassandra.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So before I let you go, we're going to do 3 things and then we're going to wrap up. So my first question in 3 things is, how do you start and end the day?
All right. How I start my day with prayer meditation, because if I'm not aligned with God, for me, the day is not going to be a good day. Because things happen in the course of the day, and if I'm not with Jesus, I may not give the right response. So I always start my day with prayer meditation just to help me be centered, aligned, just to help with my emotional and mental health. That's what I find cathartic for me. So I begin with prayer meditation, and then normally after the prayer meditation, smoothie. At least during the week, I normally have a smoothie for breakfast more times than not. That just gives me the right nutrition my body needs. So I'm able to perform max performance because I have the right vitamins. And in my day, I'm gonna be quite honest, at the end of the day, I want to relax. I'm generally going to find a program on the television. I love me some BT Her, or just some little chick flick that I'm gonna watch, get a good laugh, and I'm on. So that's normally how I end the day.
Awesome. All right. Second question is, what's a goal you have for yourself this year?
All right. Well, a goal I have for myself this year, I am currently partnered with iFund Women. And for those who don't know, iFund Women is an organization that supports women in business. And right now I have an opportunity to crowdfund through them. So my goal this year is to have a successful crowdfunding campaign. My crowdfunding campaign is Stumping Out Dis-ease, working with minority women to improve their health and well-being. But the goal is to finish that program or that campaign with success.
Awesome. Love it. And a last question is, what's a favorite, book, podcast, or song that something you're loving right now?
Right now, I'm gonna be real honest. I know that some folks might be like, she said she was a Christian. But my favorite song right now, Mary J. Blige, Good Morning Gorgeous. I love the song. I love some. I listen to me a little R&B, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm R&B, but I also listen to Yolanda Adams too. I'm a mix.
I love it. Awesome. Well, this has been so great. So before I let you go, why don't you leave the audience with 3 things that you'd like them to take away from our conversation today?
3 things I want you to take away: that the most valuable asset that you have is staring you in the mirror. Second thing I want you to take away: anyone with the capacity to love should love themselves. Third takeaway: without your health, nothing else matters. So
Love that.
I pray those 3 takeaways touch and bless your soul.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Love that. Well, Cassandra, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join and bless us with a lot of good tips and knowledge today.
Well, thanks so much for the invitation. It's been a pleasure. I've been listening to your podcast for a little bit now. And so it's been a delight to be a guest.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, stay tuned, everyone. I'll be right back. Welcome back to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I'm Kyra. Thanks again to Cassandra for joining the show today and for sharing her own journey, as well as some tips to help us all get a little bit closer to those balanced lives that we all dream of. Be sure to check out our website at cassandrahill.com or check the show notes, as you'll find it there as well. If you'd like to learn more about Glow Up Girl, you can visit the site at glowupgirl.com, check out past podcast episodes, sign up to be a guest on the show, drop a note, an email to me for any topics or any guests that you might want to recommend, and you can also grab our social links and so much more. As always, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy days to pop in and listen, and I'll see you next time. Until then, stay focused, fab, and glow up. Take care, everyone.